Peace and blessings, everybody. It's Bravador Live. Yeah, we didn't need an intro for this. We just went ahead and jumped in. We got a pretty good show for you tonight. You already see my man's on screen right now, my man JayQuan. Uh, we just going to pretty much get into it, everybody. Please like and share this Bravador Live. We're going to be talking about the 50th year of hip hop. And I don't know why on the post it's got exclamation, it's got percentage year of hip hop. I don't understand what the heck happened with that, man. Hold on, let me see if I can at least edit it a little bit. Hopefully, Facebook won't think I'm doing something crazy. But
right.
Yeah, there it is. It's straight now.
Cool.
How did I do that one? I mean, anyway, what's going on, Jay, man? What's happening?
Everything's good, man. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. You've been busy, man. Gosh, you've been busy. You've been doing quite a bit for your situations and stuff. What you've been doing, Rock the Bells. You know, you write for them now. You did a college visit. You and Melly Mel. I want to ask you about that, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 50th anniversary of hip hop, some of the history of hip hop that some may not know, and what have you. And we're just going to dive into it. 50 years, man, of hip hop.
Crazy, right?
Man, what does that mean to you? I'm going to start with you. What does that mean for you, man?
Wow, man, it's in a way, man, it's validation, not that we needed it. Our parents' generation, a lot of people in that generation told us that, we're wasting our time. It wasn't music and it was noise and all of that.
I remember that.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, this is, just looking at the Grammys earlier this week, I think it was Sunday, and looking at the tribute with all those MCs on there and just how, hip hop culture has dominated for the last, couple decades. Is validation that we really didn't need. But I'll be very honest. I didn't, Biggie said, whoever thought that hip hop would take it this far, as much as I always believed in it, I never thought that it would be this big and just, dominate every facet of popular culture. But it's cool to see, man. And for us to still be around and, giving our part to the narrative and, having even a small percentage in the narrative and being able to talk about our contributions and continue to contribute is a good feeling, man.
I know for me, DJing since I was 15 in 1981, first time I heard anything like that. I mean, I heard Here Come the Judge before and James Brown, but when I heard Rapper's Delight in 79, then I heard, I heard King Tim III, then I heard Rapper's Delight, then I heard Freedom, Grandmaster Flash Furious 5. That was it for me. But then after talking to people, during that time, some people that say, hey, man, I used to hear that on tapes, 8-track tapes that came down from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually heard a couple of them. And I'm like, well, this sounds almost better than the records. But it was all on tape and everything. And that's what changed me was when I got into it from hearing a record. That's what changed why I got into it and been part of my life ever since. And then in 81 started DJing and everything with the Junior Funk Machine here in Virginia. So it's been a part of most of my life, and I'm glad I'm here to see it turn 50 years old. And with all the celebrations, and first of all, I'm gonna go back to what you were saying about the Grammy performance. To me, that was the highlight of the whole Grammys. That was it. To me, that was it. And everybody seems like, at least a lot of people are saying that they really, really, they really enjoyed it. Hey, Cricket, what's going on? There's Cricket in here joining in.
What's going on, Cricket? My man.
So it was that for me, man. It really, really was, man. It was really that for me. So I'm glad I'm able to, witness it, in this time and whatnot.
I would add that, I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad to be here to see it because a lot of people that we came up with who were involved in hip hop as fans or participants in the elements of it aren't here anymore. A lot of people that were close to us, they didn't make it. So to actually be here and see it and have, like I said, a small part in and narrating what's going on with it, it really is. It's a blessing to see it. To see it come to where it's where it is.
I was wondering. I was seeing Raheem, and if Raheem is on here, peace, brother. I was seeing Raheem's post where he was doing a lot of behind the scenes and before through Facebook and showing, what was going on. He was chilling out. He was, doing things like that, just getting prepared. And then I saw Flash, I saw Scorpio and Mel. And I'm saying all this based on rumors I've heard, rumors that I've heard because of what I've heard, that they weren't together and they weren't getting along. But to see them all on stage, I'm like, whoa, it happened. Because I'm even though I saw them, in rehearsal and stuff, I was just like, wait a minute, this actually happened. So that really got me here. I'm like, they did it. They actually did it. They are on stage together. And I think Flash made a comment saying Melly Mel was the greatest. He gave him a hell of a compliment. It was on something I saw that he gave props to Melly Mel. And I'm like, well, are they gonna get back together now? Are they gonna do a world tour or what? I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to ask the question to you, because I don't know. I know you have an insight on a lot of those cats, and I won't put you on the spot about that.
Well, no, I'll say
I would like to see that.
Well, I'll say a very little on that, just because I don't want to get their hopes up. I'll say that that's my favorite group from that era.
Right.
I'm cool with all of those guys. I haven't talked to Creole since his sentencing. I talked to him right before his trial, but cool with Flash, extremely cool with Mel, Raheem, me and Scorpio, okay. And I talk to those brothers often. I'll say this much: I didn't know if it was going to happen or not. I even wrote a story saying that it might be happening, and then members of the group called me and was like, "No, it's not going to happen." It was a little back and forth with that, but they made it work. I don't think we'll be seeing them get together for a world tour or anything. It's just it's just things that happen, and we know this just from the little bit of participating we did in this compared to what they did.
Right.
Just as men, you grow, and there's things sometimes it's things you can't get past just personally. It's easy for people to say, well, just go out and get the money, whatever. But sometimes people just can't. It's hard to operate in the same space even when money is involved. So I don't see them getting together to do that. But I was very glad that they were able to overcome their differences and get on stage together. That meant a lot to me personally. And to see, the biggest thing was seeing Flash with the actual beatbox.
The beatbox, that was, that's the first time I've ever seen the beatbox.
Yeah.
I've seen a funk box.
Right.
That
Macedon.
No. The funk box that Graham Central Station used.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The jam where I forgot the lady, the girl's name in Graham Central Station, but she said FUNK box, FUNK box, funk box, y'all. I seen that, and it looked somewhat familiar, similar to it, but I'd never seen that one that Flash was using. I'd never seen that.
I seen it when they did the Get Down, that Netflix special, and Flash was making his press rounds. He actually had it in storage, and he pulled it out. He was like on CBS or CBS This Morning or something like that, and I saw it.
I missed that.
I've seen pictures of that model, but basically for the people, real briefly, it was a drum box. It was by a company called Vox, VOX, out of the UK. And one of Flash's neighbors was a drummer, and he used to use it just, to keep his fingers nimble, practice with. And Flash heard it. This was probably 76, 77. Flash heard his neighbor with this and asked him, could he buy? He begged him to buy it. And his neighbor sold it to him for like $120, something like that, $125. And Flash started incorporating that into his DJing and playing it behind his MCs. And then they had a routine called Flash to the Beat. And that's the famous routine that became super rapping. It was a party night. Everybody was breaking. The highs was beaming. The brace was shaking, and it won't be long until everybody's knowing that Flash is on the beatbox. And Flash would tap those beats out. Like, if you were paying attention, it was real short, but on the Grammys, you saw him playing the beatbox. And the real big thing about that, how it spread to the other elements of hip hop, it created an element because, as Flash told me, he said, his beatbox thing kind of went to sleep and people forgot about it. But then guys like Dougie Fresh and Buffy from the Fat Boys and Eminem and all of the guys early on who were doing the beatbox, they start imitating what Flash was doing with that drum machine with their mouths. And that's why we call it the human beatbox, because they were imitating what Flash did with their Vox machine that he dubbed the beatbox. So that was a really big deal to see that on the Grammys. That was one of the big moments for me.
Yeah, like I said, man, to me, seeing that and just seeing that and just the whole thing, man, I was trying to absorb everything with it, Yeah. I was trying to absorb everything with it. But, it was like I even had to go back and I had to look back at it to make sure I didn't miss anything, which I was so caught up in the moment and stuff. Hey, Big Rick. Hey, Malik X, peace and blessings to you. I just got so caught up in the moment, man, because that's what I wanted to see years ago. And for years, we wanted to see that on the Grammys. That was one of the reasons why I stopped watching the Grammys, because stuff like that I couldn't see. Right. And it was done to me. I'm talking about how it was done here. So I want to make sure people hear me clear. The way it was done was great. Now, getting on the other part, and I know you've seen it too, Jay. Well, why wasn't this person on there? Why wasn't that person on there? Listen, LL did the disclaimer at the beginning, and I commend him for that. He said, listen, I know everybody's not going to be on stage tonight. I know this, but something big is coming later on this year. That's the biggest promotion piece you could ever do. So now everybody's waiting to hear, okay, this big piece, which we know is probably, I'm assuming that it's going to be somewhere in the Bronx near the Hip Hop Museum, and stuff. So whatever it is going to be, I will be there. I can tell you that. I will be there, But I think it was done well. It was great to see Chuck and Flav together on stage for Public Enemy. It was great to see that. And the way they merged it with even the new cats today. The way it segued was perfect to me. And I'm all right with all of it. I really am. And I felt proud that night. I did. I really did, man.
Yeah, I thought it was done well. And, anybody can look at it and say, we should have had this group, should have had that group. Herc should have been there. This person should have been there. What I would remind people of, especially people who would say, oh, they should have had this person as a real underground person. This is the Grammys. The Grammys are presented by the Recording Academy of America. You're only going to see people who have big hit records. If you notice, everybody who performed, including Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, who set it off, all the way up to Glorilla and everybody between, they all had huge records because this is the Grammys. They weren't trying to give a hip hop history lesson. You got to remember, this is the same institution who took a full 10 years to even notice hip hop, in 89. And when they did it, they didn't televise it. So, it got boycotted. So the fact that they gave the 12 minutes that they gave, and, I think Questlove did a good job of curating and putting it together. I would love to see the Sugar Hill Gang and Curtis Blow. I'm not sure exactly why. I know they didn't reach out to the Sugar Hill Gang. I don't know what happened with Curtis Blow. But I do know this. The official birthday of this thing is really August. It's August 11th.
Okay, and I'm glad you said that because I was gonna get to that, but go ahead.
I don't want to jump your timeline, but it's only February. So this summer, it's going to be loads of things going on in all the cities, but especially in New York. There are going to be loads of tributes. Questlove has already come out and said they're going to, on August 11th, the actual birthday, they're going to film a big thing in the Bronx that's going to be sponsored by the Grammys. So there's going to be another Grammy tribute. Really, to me, the Grammys, there's no place that could encompass 50 years of it's 40 years of the recorded music because, it's more closer to 40 something. But 50 years of a cultural movement as big as hip hop, you would have had to take the whole Grammy ceremony to cover it properly.
That's true.
They gave 12 minutes, 13 minutes. And I thought they did an excellent job in those 13 minutes of doing, I've seen people say they didn't have enough West Coast. They didn't have this and that. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect, but there'll be several more. I'm sure on the West Coast, the Uncle Jam's on reunions will be happening. I think really we should do something here, and it's not too late to do that. But it's early.
And I'm glad you said that because we are going to do something here. I know as far as the Z-Rock Crew, Junior Funk Machine, Sir RJ, Cricket, all of us, we're planning something for the 50th. I've said that on the page here and there a couple places, but I'm saying it officially.
I would love to see, Freaky D and Mr. Melody and Super Friends and, the people, our label mates that we came up with and our contemporaries that we came up with in the, in the earlier part of the 80s. And then, the infectious organisms and all the 90s guys. Yeah, I love it. It would be dope if we could, all be in the same spot. But like I said, it's early in the year. And, it's a little too early to act as if the Grammy thing was the only thing out there. We got several months to put something together.
Yeah. Hey, Dove, what's going on, man? It wasn't mad at all. I think he meant bad at all. That's cool, brother. That's cool.
So I wasn't mad at all. I wasn't mad either, man. I thought it was good.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I still thought he meant bad at all, but mad, yeah. You're right. I'm sorry to twist your words, my man. FedEx dropped off more speakers today. Cricket has ordered more speakers. He has ordered more speakers, Jay. Wow. So everybody, if you ever been to our jams, Cricket has the speakers. Well, he's got more. And that's one thing about the jam that we're going to be doing this year to celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop down here. For us, Cricket he's buying new equipment. We've all purchased new equipment. We have done it. So we're going to be ready sound wise. I can tell you that now. We're going to definitely be ready sound wise. You don't need no more. You're going to kill. That's Ricky. Rick's talking to Cricket on that one. But we're preparing for it, and we're going to be doing jams just about every month this year. We're trying to do jams every month. As a matter of fact, I was going to jump a little ahead, but I'm going to say it now since we're talking about it. And I agree with you, Jay. We should all here do something to celebrate the 50th years of hip hop. Those names you name, absolutely we should. Absolutely we should. And I think that'll be a great thing. And what we're planning so far, what we're trying to do next month, I can tell you now, we're trying to do a gig next month. We got to talk to some of the people at Another Round Bar and Grill to see what we can do, or some other places. We'll kind of jump around a little bit as we do one each month. So I'll be calling a couple people and seeing where we can go to next, and then after that, where we can go to next, and then when we do the big one, some towards maybe the end of the summer or something like that. That's when we'll have some guests from out of town to kind of tie it all in, and that will probably be the big one. And that doors are open for anybody that want to participate with it, and just be a part of it and just have fun and celebrate this thing that is so much a part of all of our lives, man. I mean, it pretty much built us to who we are. It really is.
It literally changed our lives. I told you the story many times, man. I've been into this since I heard the first rap record, and I was 79. By the time I was being bused to school over Albert Hill in the West End. I always tell you and Fresh were a big influence on me. I remember, sitting in Mr. Yearwood's 8th grade history class and hearing across the speaker that the Z-Rock Crew, was doing a jam. What's the high school over there in the West End?
TJ,
a jam at TJ.
I remember that.
Who was the Z-Rock Crew? How can I get on and be doing jams like? So I'm sitting in the 8th grade listening to you guys, and literally by 2 years later, we're label mates. On the same record label. You're interviewing me on WPIE. We've been friends ever since then, and it's come full circle. A couple times actually. So that's a great thing, man. It's something you can easily take for granted if you don't really reflect on it. It's a great thing to have been there since the beginning and still be able to look back and be like, wow, we're still here and we're still very much connected to hip hop.
I agree, man. I agree. Hip hop brings people together, and we're, like you said, we're a prime example of that, and stuff. All the years you and I have known each other, Fresh, the Calvins down in Hopewell, they took it amongst themselves to record hip hop, and stuff. You got to remember, people have to remember here in Central Virginia, Richmond, Petersburg, surrounding areas, Chesterfield, Hopewell, we didn't have a big recording studio down here for us. A lot of people, and the big ones that were so expensive that we couldn't afford to go in and record there, we were using 4 tracks, 8 tracks. 8-track was big for us. That was what our go-to studio was. And the one that we went to in Central Virginia was in Hopewell at Think Tank Studios. Mr. Bernard Calvin, Dwayne Calvin Hodges, all of it was down there. And I got to give props to Terry Lewis, because that gig at TJ, he lined that up. He lined that all up for us. And his mother was a teacher there. And that's how we got lined up to do that gig. And then Terry Lewis was the one that did the commercial, if I can remember correctly, and whatnot.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it was really
a small world, man. I was talking to Mike Street recently, and throughout the years of us all hanging together and going to WDCE back in the 90s, I always knew, like, I know this guy. I knew Mike Street from somewhere. Turns out I'm looking through my old Albert Hill yearbook not too long ago, and he went to Albert Hill. So we all had that West End connection and that hip hop connection. So yeah, man, it's great to be able to reflect on it and all sit here and be able to reflect on it together. After all these years, it's a great thing.
And I want people to know that are outside of Central Virginia that's watching this, whether it's right now, whether they're watching it at a later time, just looking back at it. If you're on YouTube, we're on YouTube right now, everybody, and Facebook. We're on the Bravador, we're on the El Bravador page. We're on the Bravador Live page. We're on the WQ Mix Worldwide Radio Listeners Group page. We're on the Hangout at the Bird Park, McDonald's Hangout Bird Park Crew page on Facebook as well. So y'all looking at all of that. So if you are seeing us from somewhere else and you don't know anything about Central Virginia hip hop, this is what we did back in the days. Hip hop came through. I mean, the shows came through here, Full Force and Lisa. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde came through. The Fresh Fest, the Def Jam tours, the Dope Jam tour, Houdini, Run DMC. Run DMC used to come here all the time. Davey DMX came here when One for the Trouble was out. He used to come through. I mean, Curtis Blow, LL. I mean, all of these people that we listen to, they touched down in Richmond sometime or another.
And even the first groups, I remember, the Sugar Hill Review, when Sequence would come, Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I remember going to King's Dominion and seeing all of those groups, and the Mean Machine was on the ticket. And that was the only time I ever saw the original lineup of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. This was probably 81, 82. So, I mean, it's always been here, and that was always a misconception that people, especially New Yorkers, had, that, oh, they're in the South and they don't know anything about the music. And I tell New Yorkers all the time, look, if a record came out in New York on a Thursday, we had it by Saturday. It really, we were a direct pipeline. I was looking at a book recently. It was a photography book, and I can't remember who it was. It was a very popular photographer, and they had a picture of Eric B. and Rakim. On the caption, it said Richmond Coliseum, 1980, whatever it was. I meant to take a picture of it and show it to you. I took the picture. I never sent it to you. I'm gonna send you this picture. Okay. But this photographer is a very famous photographer, and then in the back of the Coliseum, and I think that might have been the night you introduced me to Chuck and Rakim the first time.
I know the picture because that picture is actually on greatest hits of Eric B. and Rakim as well. Rakim had on the black jacket. Eric B. had on the Louis Vuitton trench.
Yep.
I was right there when they took that picture. I was right there, and then I pulled Rakim, and I took that picture that I use sometime of he and I. I have on the Public Enemy shirt.
That's right.
That was the exact same time.
Yeah.
As matter of fact, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Nah, I ain't gonna be able to find it in all them CDs, but I got it in there.
I saw that picture like last year in this book. And it's a major photographer who took the picture. But.
And I actually responded. Someone else put that picture up. And I responded that was taken at the Richmond Coliseum at that show. And I told him I got proof of it. And I guess maybe that's how they found it, because a lot of people didn't know where they had taken that picture. A lot of people didn't know at the time.
Yeah, the captions in that book, man. So, a lot of history happened here. I was talking to Captain Sky maybe 2 months ago. We're talking about the fact that his record Super Sperm was such a big breakbeat. And he mentioned how much Richmond meant to him. And he said, oh, you had a thing down there called Mardi Gras. And I forgot about the Mardi Gras until Captain Scott brought it up. And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a guy named Jose.
That was Jose's thing.
Well.
Yeah, the Mardi Gras was Jose's thing, man. Yeah, absolutely it was.
Even if you go back to, for those that don't remember or might not know, if you go back to James Brown's the biopic that the brother that played Black Panther played him. I can't remember the brother's name. What's the brother's name that played
Chadwick Baldwin?
Right. On the James Brown movie.
Yeah.
In the beginning of it, they show how he used to always come down to Second Street. That was one of the main hubs that James Brown would play. So Richmond's always had a history, even before hip hop. Musically, a very rich history.
People used to say James Brown practically lived on Second Street because he'd always be here at the Eggleston Hotel, right there where the new building is, and they got the restaurant downstairs. That built where the Eggleston Hotel used to be. That's where James Brown used to stay.
That's right.
Stay right there. The building that collapsed, as a matter of fact. The one that collapsed. So yes, absolutely. Just like Dove just said, there's always been a connection between Harlem and Virginia. And that's true. There's been a connection with Richmond, Philly, New York, period. Jersey, all of that. WANT. Matter of fact, you're talking about the James Brown movie. Alan Leeds, he's on my Facebook page here. They mentioned him in the movie. Alan Leeds went to WANT. They didn't say the name of the station, which I was a little disappointed because it was WANT.
He was an intern.
Tom Mitchell. Tom Mitchell was at WANT for many a decades.
Yeah.
And Alan Leeds worked with Tom Mitchell.
Yeah.
So Tom Mitchell was right there in the mix with the whole thing. He was in there in the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely was. George Jazzy G. Augusto Jr., peace and blessings to you. Thank you for joining
Jazzy G, my man. What's going on, bro?
Peace and blessings, man. Thank you for being here with us. You're welcome to join in the conversation if you like, my man. No doubt about it. Jay, I got so much in my brain. I don't ever write anything down. I've never wrote anything down.
Yeah, I understand.
It works for me. But these days, it ain't working too good.
I understand.
It ain't working too good like you used to. But hey, when you know something that works, you stick with it and you try to make it work as best you can. But one thing I have noticed already with what's going on now with the 50th of hip hop. I was in the area a few weeks ago. And as a matter of fact, I was with some family. And of course, my youngest lives up there. And we went to the Palisades for lunch. And then we came back. I said, look, I got to go by the hip hop museum. It was getting dark. I said, but it doesn't matter. I got to go. So I went ahead and my GPS took me right to it. Right there on Enlisted. Is it Enlisted Street? It's something with an E. I can't remember the name of the street, but but it's right there at the Bronx Terminal, right there where the mall is and everything. So I'm pulling under of course you pull under the overpass or the whatever you want to call it. And I looked across the street and I saw, the actual building. And then I looked back across the street and I said, there's the pop-up. So I went over there. And I was too late. It was closed. And then I remember that Tony Crush actually told me you need a ticket to get in. So I probably wouldn't have been able to get in even if it was open. I don't think. I mean, I don't know if you can. Exterior Street. Thank you, Jazzy G. Thank you. Exterior Street. So that's why I just said, well, look, let me just take a video of it real quick. And I do plan on going back, and what have you. So, I'm very excited about this year, being the 50th anniversary. I'm very, 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 very excited. So I can't wait to see what's on tap. I cannot wait.
Same here, man. Same here. I'm looking forward to it.
This is Bravador Live, everybody. Let me take a pause for the cause and thank everybody for being here. Also, please share this, y'all. Please share. I am blessed with the presence of the hip hop historian and good friend of mine, JayQuan. We used to call him Microphone Master Jay back in the day.
Sure did.
Defend himself on that. from Grandmaster Jay. I remember them days. Let's talk about some of them days, man, recording and just doing shows and being at shows, man. Of course, we rubbed elbows. We hung out with those folks, that we listened to and what have you, and drew pretty good relationships with them, and stuff.
We did. It's funny, man. Now that I'm, I do stuff with the Hip Hop Museum in DC, the National Hip Hop Museum, and I induct artists. I've inducted just about everybody at this point. Kumo D,
everybody you have.
Wow, some of everybody, but Kane, G-Rap, the list goes on. People ask me all the time, are you ever nervous, when you do this? Or, are you starstruck when you see these people? And I have to remind them, when I was 16 years old, we made our first record. I mean, me and you were label mates.
Right.
And I always tell them, I met Rakim. I think our Paid in Full had been out a couple of weeks, literally, because our record had just come out. We both used Don't Look Any Further by Dennis Edwards. Right. And you walked me right up to Rakim to shake his hand. You walked me right up to Chuck D. You walked me up to Kumo D, later when that next tour when Follow the Leader was out. But I say that to say, I always tell you this, I owe a debt of gratitude to you, because the reason I'm not starstruck today is because I shook Chuck's hand when I was 16 years old. You gave Chuck our record. Chuck took it up to WBAU, Adelphi University. He played it in New York, and we got airplay, in New York. When I was still I was in 10th grade, and we had a record playing in New York, and and playing here. It was in the top 10 charts on the station you worked on. So we were definitely rubbing elbows. I remember Lumumba coming down before he was Professor X, before there was an X Clan. He came down with Positive K. Positive K had Portagram Pam out. He was his manager. And Lil Walter was the one who was booking us, managing us, and he brought Lumumba down and Audio 2. And I mean, we were very immersed in that, what became known as the golden era of hip hop. We were right there. I mean, and I know you don't blow your horn. It's not. It's always, I would say it's somebody else's job to blow your horn. But at this point, because if you don't blow your own horn, you'll get written out of history. We've seen that. So I like people to know that, you were the one that really broke Public Enemy, Ultramagnetic, and all of those groups down here that the FM radio would not play. First time I heard Ego Tripping by Ultramagnetic, you and Fresh played it. First time I heard Don't Believe the Hype, Rebel Without a Pause. And, you had a very special relationship with Public Enemy and Chuck D. And by extension, the Bomb Squad. I know you're about to do some, you submitted some music for Ice Cube's first album. People don't know that. And they will know it once you start to tell your story. But, I remember looking at the liner notes. I used to always read the liner notes, especially for Public Enemy albums. And Chuck thanks you in the liner notes, man. We weren't playing down here in what some people thought was country Little Richmond, VA. We weren't playing around, man.
No, we weren't. And of course, we had no social media. We had no YouTube. We had none of that. So, but the industry knew that Richmond was, and Central Virginia was very, very important. Was very important. Just as important as down in Tidewater, which has more people, a bigger population and stuff. So they knew that it was very, very important in here. I can remember talking to West Party Johnson. May he continue to rest in peace. He was Dougie Fresh's promo guy for Daniel Records, not Daniel Records. Was it Daniel Records?
Reality Records.
Yeah, Reality Records. I used to get Daniel
is a subsidiary of Reality. You were right.
Okay. Well, I was halfway right, but I can remember him, talking about how important it was for us to have the station that we had, because you had us, WRAP, as far as all hip hop stations, and then to the West Coast, of course, you had K-Day out there. You had K-Day out there and stuff. Uncle Jam's Army and everything. And I had no idea when I first met Muffler and Daryl from the LA Posse and Bobcat. I had no idea until recent years that they were part of Uncle Jam's Army. And Egyptian Lover was part of them. And I had no idea. I had no idea, man. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
Dr. Dre, Dr. Dre, Bobcat, Battle Cat.
Look, I wish, and I know, the time difference and stuff, so hard to tell, but if Muffler, if you're watching this now, send me a message, man, if you want to be a part of this. I can send you the code and put you on screen, because I'd like to hear from a lot of the West Coast guys this year too, and stuff, what they're doing to commemorate 50 years of hip hop. I can remember, and I don't want to talk too much because I don't even know what the status is of the David DMX documentary, but I can remember interviewing people out there for the documentary and filming them. I remember talking to Lonzo, and he was saying how important David DMX was to DJs around there. And even Dr. Dre said that in the Defiant ones with him and Jimmy Iovine, he was saying, I got into really scratching and stuff is when I heard David DMX, when I saw him. And as a matter of fact, Lonzo was speaking about that actual night because David DMX was there with Curtis Blow.
Yeah.
And how that happened. So, and I'm not going to get into what was said at the Grammys and everything. And I want to congratulate Dr. Dre on him being, being the icon to have an award named after him. Regardless of how I feel about it, I want to congratulate him for that. That's pretty big. And everything. But like you said, the Grammys is for music, for records, and whatnot. The culture is something that's totally different and what have you. Would I like to see something in Kool Herc's name? Yes, I would have. I would have liked to see something in some of the other pioneers' names. I would like, and not saying that's not coming. It could be coming soon, and whatnot.
It's coming. I know the Hip Hop Museum in New York is doing something. The Universal Hip Hop Museum. I know that the National Hip Hop Museum in DC has plans. I know that definitely Rock the Bells has plans. A lot of Hip Hop Boulevard is doing something soon. There's a lot of organizations. This summer, there's going to be plenty of block parties in New York. There's going to be something at Sedgwick, 1520 Sedgwick, the birthplace of.
I pretty much figured it was going to be something there. I bet you they're going to have something there outside, and you'll be able to walk inside to where the actual party was. It was in the basement, right?
Yeah, it was in the rec room, and I've actually been there when I did an induction for the National Hip Hop Museum. It's been going on 2 years now, but I inducted MC Globe, Grandmaster Caz got another award. Coke La Rock was there. It was a great event. Grand Wizard Theodore, Joe Conzo was there, but I actually stood in the room where it happened, and that room was so small. It's crazy to. First of all, speaking of that party, I'm not a New Yorker, so I don't, I'm not going to speak on it like I was there, but I have talked to most of the people, most of the bricklayers of this thing, for the last 22 years that I've been online with a website. I've talked to them. A lot of people talk about that party, and what I always get from, the pioneers who are of age to know is that anybody who was at that party would probably be at least in their 60s by now, right? Because of, it happened in 73. I was talking to Melly Mel 2 nights ago, and he was like, I wasn't there. He was like, me and my brother Creole used to follow the Herculoids. And, we were. Mel was saying he was directly influenced by Timmy Tim. The reason he calls himself Melly Mel is because he was influenced by Timmy Tim. He even got his name. His brother was Danny Dan before he was Creole. But anyway, he was saying that, I wasn't at the party. Caz, we all were kids at that time. And to really talk to people who were at that party, not many of them have been interviewed on camera. So people kind of romanticize like it was this big thing and all the old school cats were there. That wasn't the case. But I stood in that room, and it's a very small spot. And they were charging like, what was it, 15 cents or a quarter or something to get in. Hip hop has very humble roots. But I say all that to say it'll be something in the vicinity this year. And definitely, I just mentioned Hip Hop Boulevard, my man. Jazzy, he said that he was director of the DJ division of Hip Hop Boulevard. What's up? Again, Jazzy G, my man, DJs for the Fearless Four. And like he said, he's hip hop's hired gun. That's my main man. But yeah,
I'd like to get a shirt, Jazzy G, if I can, a Hip Hop Boulevard shirt or something. I've been trying to figure out how to get one. Do you have one, Jay?
I don't. I gotta talk to somebody myself about getting a Hip Hop Boulevard shirt. I can't think of the name of cat that runs it. I know him. His name escapes me right now, but I got to get one of those. There's a few little pieces of memorabilia I want to get, man. My man that runs the Disco Fever, Sal Avitalio, he has.
I want one of them. I want one. I already know. I want one of them too.
Sure, but I want, the backdrop that had all of the MC's names on it, the famous backdrop. Al Pizarro, thank you. I got to get with Al Pizarro.
Hey Venus, how are you?
I just never got a shirt, but the backdrop of the Fever, Sal put a poster out of that. It is really dope. It's shaped the same way and everything, like the landscape. I got to get one of those. There's a lot of memorabilia I want to get, but yeah, I plan on, being in New York a lot this summer. I'm with Rock the Bells. I'll be there, I'm sure, covering, news events and just as a representative of Rock the Bells. But just personally, I like to go enjoy some of the events that'll be happening in New York.
Well, you and I talked offline about this, that I'm going to be at just about everything that's going to happen up there as much as I can. I'm going to spend a lot of time this year up there because whatever's going on, I want to be a part of it. No, I was not there either. I was not there. I was here. My history starts from 79. That's what mine starts from. So I want to go up there and meet some folks and just talk to them about those days, those beginnings, and just to hear it from them. I want to talk to them in person about it, and just tell them thank you. I'll say it right now to anybody that was there that contributed to this culture and art form, to say thank you. You all helped form our lives for what we are. All this you see in my studio, Jay is in his studio. I think I can say this, and Jay, you'll agree. All of this is because of you all. You all were the reason that we are into this. He's writing for Rock the Bells now. I'm doing films and DJing again, and Fresh is DJing, and RJ's still DJing, and Cricket's doing his thing. We're doing all of this because of you all. So thank you. I mean, I don't know what I'd be doing. Well, I wanted to be an astronaut. So I don't know if that would have happened, but all of this is why we are who we are today, man. I'm grateful, man. That's all I can say, man.
Well, 100%, man. You know my story. I was always into music and collecting records before I knew what hip hop. I had a small record collection by the time I was 7 years old. I was obsessed with records. We were at family events. I always wanted to play the music, so I kind of knew how to be a DJ before there was hip hop. I knew you put a certain record on, and at the family barbecue, everybody's gonna sit down. You lose the energy. But once rap came, once I heard Rapper's Delight, I didn't even hear King to the Third first. I heard Rapper's Delight before I heard King to the Third. And I knew nothing about the history. I knew nothing about the Bronx doing anything. I know I heard that record, and I heard them rhyming over good times. And I knew I was into poetry, and I like to, to write. And I said, I want to do what they're doing. And, before too long, I was doing it. Then again, in 81, when I heard Adventures on the Wheels of Steel by Grandmaster Flash, I said, how is he doing that? And I ended up doing both things, DJing and MCing. You probably can't see it, but if you look overhead, there's a picture overhead here of the Funky 4+1, a poster behind me. Posters of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, a gold record from them. That was my childhood, and that still really drives a lot of my passion for the music today. And it was New York. New York gave that to the world, and I'm very appreciative to have heard those records, and then I had such a thirst for the knowledge that I had to learn my history backwards. And it's funny, Brad, as we talked about this music, I didn't find out till really later on when I started doing a lot of interviews. A lot of New Yorkers didn't like rap records. I remember asking Raheem what his favorite record was from their Sugar Hill time. He said I didn't like any of them. And I was like, oh, why? And I started finding out that because, the records were an attempt to do what they was doing on the tapes that you talked about earlier. But legally, you couldn't take Bra by Samande and put it on the record. You had to get a band to replay it. So a lot of the people who didn't like the rap records in New York was because they were a little more cleaned up than what the tapes were. The raw tapes of, like, for instance, Busy B's record was Funky President by James Brown. That's his signature record. He made a song on Sugar Hill called Making Cash Money, and the band had to replay it. Donald D, my man, what's going on?
Oh, can I stop real quick?
Yes.
That's the Donald D of the B-Boys, right?
Yeah, and Rhyme Syndicate, yeah.
Yeah, look, I've been trying to meet this brother for years. So I like to tell him peace and blessings and how are you, sir? I mean, he's on my page as well. But and that's another thing. I've been trying to find that song. I got plenty of songs. That one, for some reason, I cannot find it on Vintertainment. I cannot find it.
I got at least doubles and I'll get it to you. I got all the Rock the House. I got all the stuff the B-Boys did. But Donald D, I actually met Donald D last year. I was in Inglewood. It was a Sugar Hill show, and Donald D was there in Inglewood, and I finally met him face to face. Been talking to Donald for years. What's up, Donald? What's up, Jazzy G? And actually, Donald D is going to be, I think it's March 11th, at the National Hip Hop Museum. Jazzy G,
the one in DC, the one in DC.
Donald D will be a special guest at the National Hip Hop Museum on March 11th, and we're gonna also have CL Smooth's special ed.
And this is the one in DC, right?
Yeah, that's the one in DC.
All right, I'm going.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely keep in touch about that because it'll be special ed, CL Smooth and Draz of Black Sheep. And then Donald D will also be a guest. And I think DJ Cool is an invited guest. I'm not sure if he'll be there or not, but it should be a nice event. And yeah, Donald D, the B-Boys, they rocked the house and they had Girls.
Girls that's the one I want. Girls. I've been trying to get that one.
At least doubles of that. I get you one. I think I got like a red one and then 2 black ones or something.
We had Fresh and I had a red one. We had a red one and stuff. Jazzy G, respect, man. Much respect. Salute. That's great to know. I'm sorry I didn't know that. I should have known that, and stuff. But yeah, man, I want to go to that. I definitely want to do that. But yeah, even if I just get it from you, Jay, just to remaster it off of a record. And see, that's one thing.
You can get it because I got at least, like I said, at least 2 or 3 of them. But Vintertainment was a really dope label, man. That label, Keith Sweat eventually was on there, but Dougie first started on Vintertainment. And yeah, man, that was a dope label. You had Hip Hop on Wax. Red Alert had a version of Hip Hop on Wax. Chuck Chill Out had like part 1, part 2. Yeah, important label, man.
Yes, yeah. And I remember when Keith Sweat got on Vintertainment, and then got picked up, and then that they distributed. I can't remember who distributed. Was it MCA that distributed, or was it?
It was Elektra. Elektra was doing it. Yeah, Vincent Davis, he was, Bronx Cat, and he lived in the vicinity of Pumpkin, the late Pumpkin, the great producer and drummer. And they all lived in a certain circumference of the Bronx. Yeah, Red, Chuck, and guys from In Touch, they all of them, yep, all of those guys. Yeah, Red Alert had a Hip Hop on Wax as well. And,
I remember In Touch when they were on another label also. Yeah, they were. They had a club joint called Without You. I cannot find. I had that. I cannot find it, man.
I got that too. They had a full album too, and it was pretty dope. And then they had, of course, they're known for Too Hype. Well, a lot of people don't know what Too Hype was. Pumpkin played the drums on Too Hype. They sampled the drums from Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, but he played real drums behind it. And I'm doing a lot of stuff on Pumpkin. I'm working with his daughter in the estate to try to do a piece on Pumpkin, because like all of those early Enjoy records like Love Rap, Heartbeat, he played on almost all of those records except for Super Rapping by Furious 5, but all those records have become breakbeats. If you listen to any old school tape, especially Cold Crush, you listen to one of their routines, they're always rhyming over Love Rap, and that was the great Pumpkin. Pumpkin and Larry Smith, I think it's criminal that their names are not known more in history. Larry Smith, of course, the genius behind Houdini's pretty much everything after their debut album, and then 2 of Run DMC's best albums. Their debut album that had It's Like That and Sucker MCs, and then King of Rock. That's all Larry Smith. And Rick Rubin is dope, but too many times I'm seeing people say they're giving props to Rick Rubin that should go to Larry Smith. Like somebody read that day, and somebody was like, "Thanks to Rick Rubin for fusing rock and roll and rap." And I'm like, you didn't hear Rockbox when Larry Smith did it? Actually, you could go back to Body Rock again, which was Pumpkin by the Treacherous 3. That was really a rock record, but
a
lot of people didn't hear it. So if you want to say that Run DMC fused rock and rap,
well, Dougie Fresh did. Dougie Fresh did. do.
Yeah, I was entertaining too.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna give it to Run DMC, at least our rock box, to say it was Rick Rubin, that was Rick Rubin didn't even come into the picture until Raising Hell. So I would love to see Larry Smith get a lot more props, and Pumpkin, those two super producers, get a lot more accolades than what I see.
I met Larry Smith's son.
When
I was filming in Queens with Davey D, and I met his son. I've been to the house and stuff. I seen the actual 808 that Larry Smith used to use. His son has that. I met him. I talked to him and everything, and that was just great being there. I'm just sorry that I was not able to ever meet Larry Smith, along with a couple of others. But Larry Smith is one that I really wish I would have met also. And I know you feel the same way. And I want to say this too. I want to say this to everybody out there that's watching this. If you're watching this, if you were a part of some of the stuff we're talking about, like Jazzy G has been throwing all kinds of stuff up here that's so great for this show. We'd like you to come and spin down here, Jazzy G. We'll get with you because Jay and I were talking earlier about what we're doing here in Central Virginia. So we'd like you to come down and represent, for us. We would love that. Anybody else out here, like Venus Mazel just commented on here a few minutes ago. If you're watching this, please feel free to comment. If you would like to come on with Jay and us, if you send me a message, I will see it. I'll send you the code, and you can come right on here. We got a few more minutes left and everything. I don't want to Jay
What's
out.
Up, Venus? I didn't see Venus comment. What's up, Venus? What's up, G? What's going on?
Yeah, and thank y'all so much for your comments. I really appreciate it. This is much better than what I thought it was going to go tonight. I mean, I knew it was going to go good and great, but this is just outstanding. To have the comments from Jazzy G, the comments from Venus Mazel. I mean, this is a great thing. And then, of course, you, Jay, with what you've gained. I got to commend you, man, for the hard work you've done over the last 20 years. I remember when you started with your website, because we started our websites around the same time. Mine is, if you go to mine right now, I'm going to be honest, y'all. You can go there and laugh at it if you want to, but it's not been updated. It has not been updated for the last 4 years. So it's very dated looking. And hopefully in the next coming weeks, I'm going to have it updated and stuff. Matter of fact, I'm going to step back off of it. I'm not going to do it myself like I have been doing for years, Jay. I'm going to have someone else do it. I just don't have the time to devote to a website because, being in IT like yourself and being, in this internet thing and websites and social media, doing a website takes about an 8-hour day job. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to someone else. I have not selected anyone yet to do my website to keep it up, but I'm looking for someone now and what have you. That's not going to break the bank with me. I can tell you that. So hopefully I'll have that done within the next, couple of months. I'll just say couple of months with that. But and then you'll be able to get a lot of information off that website as well. But we did our websites the same time, Jay. And I want to commend you for the hard work you've done over the years. Yeah, you're not from New York. You're from here. Yeah, you weren't there. But a lot of these ones that are criticizing people that are not from the area, they weren't there either. And they're not from New York. The ones that are saying these things, and I'm just speaking for what I've seen, and everything. And I'm just saying, I'm commending you for the hard work you've done. You've taken your time out to do this, to let these, this information out there, and you're accurate with it. I just want to commend you for that in front of the whole world watching us, man. Great job, man. Great job.
I appreciate that. And I definitely appreciate that. I'm humbled by it. The thing, like I said, the thing that I'd say is that I think the reason that I'm effective and people that like my work, I think the reason they like it is because I'm not a New Yorker. Because what you have to realize is New Yorkers are very territorial with their boroughs. There's a big, unfortunately, there's a lot of argument right now about who did what first. And we were doing this as well. Because I'm not a New Yorker, I don't have no dogs in that fight. If you tell me a story, I'm not going to discount it based on your borough because I'm not from a borough. So I listen to everybody's story equally. So if you from Queens and you tell me what the Infinity Machine was doing and what DJ Divine was doing,
shout out to DJ Divine and Kendu. Yes.
That story to me is equally as important as what Smokey and the Smokatron is doing in the Bronx and what Hurt was doing in the Bronx. When the Harlem Cats tell me when Mo details me about being in an Autobahn ballroom and seeing the Furious Five come on, that story is just as important to me as the cats, from another borough that tell me about their beginnings. So I believe the people that like what I do, they like it because if I was in New York, I'd probably be more prone to be more pro one borough than another, and so there's a lot more balance there. I've interviewed most of the greats, just about all of the greats in my time doing this. It's something I always wanted to do. I can't say I didn't think it would get this big. I hope that it would. I'm glad that it did. But this has always been me. I tell you a real funny story real quick, man. As far as being a writer, I never knew that I knew I could write. I never envisioned writing about hip hop. But it's really not new, man. I remember in middle school writing for the school newspaper. And I wanted to write the music chart because the people who were writing the music chart would always, the top 10 or whatever it was, I would always disagree with it like I do now. So I went to the English teacher who ran it. I was like, please let me write the music charts because these people are doing it wrong. And then she gave me the gig writing the music charts. I never forget getting off the school bus the first week of school, and everybody's doing their extracurricular after school activity. So the high school kids are saying, hey man, what you doing? Somebody's playing basketball, these guys are playing football. And I said, oh, I'm on a newspaper club. And they tore me up. It was just because you know how we are with each other, man. It's like, that's not the manly thing to do. You're supposed to be playing football or basketball or running track. Well, I was a good football player. In the neighborhood, when we played football in the neighborhood, I was a very good football player. But music has always been my passion. Like I said, I love hip hop, but I'm the cat who my mother took me to see the Barcades when I was 8 years old. I remember going to Richmond Coliseum to see Switch and the Barcades and the Gap Band, Cameo, Rick James, long before I knew anything about a rap record. So, I wanted to write about hip hop and for it to be full circle. And, I'm older than 50, and I'm writing, and that's how I feed my family is writing. That's it's really a blessing, a full circle thing, bro.
Yeah, I like I said, I can't commend you enough for what you've done. You showed me so much. You've taught me a lot about stuff that I thought I knew, but I didn't really know hardly anything. And I appreciate, the knowledge for that. And it's just like we're supposed to be. Each one teach one. You regurgitate it. Once you receive knowledge, you regurgitate it to others. And stuff which is wisdom, and then it brings forth understanding. So I think that's a great thing. I got a shout out to the Disco Twins also. Want to shout them out. They're on my page and what have you. And of course, you just said DJ Divine and Kendu Infinity Machine, New Sounds, all those guys in Queens, because they had the sound systems, man. I mean, they had the killer sounds. I didn't know anything about Berthas until I saw Founding Fathers that Sonny Hassan put out. And as a matter of fact, he had reached out to me some years ago when I was doing my film festivals kind of regularly. And I've only done really 2. But when I did, he said he would like to show that, would be able to show that at my film festival. And Sonny, if you're watching this, it's still open for that because we're going to do a film festival again this year. And actually, the film festival this year is going to be, it'll be focused around 50 years of hip hop and stuff. So, the Hip Hop Legends of Central Virginia documentary will be shown there as well. A couple of other documentaries. It's going to be pretty much a lot of documentaries that are going to be shown at the film festival. But that's at a later date, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yes, man, all of that, and then I remember, you was talking about the Barcades and Switch and Gap Band. I went to my first show. My brother took me, Chip, and it was I believe it was called the Underwater Booty Affair, where the Funkadelics, Parliament, and I saw the Brides of Funkenstein. Man, could not get me away from that stage. Don Silva and all of them, I'm like, wow, the Brides of Funkenstein.
That's an incredible time, man. I seen Funkadelic. I never seen them land a spaceship. Parliament land a spaceship, but I seen.
They were supposed to do it that night, but something happened and they couldn't do it.
They couldn't do it.
Everybody was. Oh no, they were supposed to be underwater. They said they were going to be underwater, but that didn't happen. Or I know I had to leave early because I had to go to school the next morning. It was snow on the ground. It was New Year's. It was New Year's. And the next day we had to go to school. I was going to Graves Middle School then. And my brother came and picked me up, took me there. And I was in front of the stage, man. And I was out of place because my mom had me in this big, thick coat, long coat and everything. And cats was just looking at me like, who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? And you had a guy there with a box recording it and stuff. And then, I mean, man, look, straight up and down. I'm surprised I didn't catch a contact. Man, it was so much herb in this Richmond Coliseum. Unbelievable.
Most of those shows were like that. You know, most of those shows was a lot of herb like that. But I remember Motor Booty Affair. I remember that. I don't know if I was at that one, but I've seen Funkadelic Parliament a few times. And then I forgot how many, maybe 20 years ago, going on 20 years ago, they were down at Browns Island when I went to see them. Right. And they actually invited D'Angelo on stage. And for those that don't know, right. D'Angelo was from here in Richmond, Virginia. In fact, we went to the same high school. And he actually lived a few miles up the street from me. So, you know, Southside representative. And yeah, they brought him on stage and he did One Nation with the band and he tore it up. You know, I'm very proud of D'Angelo. I feel that D'Angelo don't get the love he should get here, but that's he doesn't. I think any city you're in, I think that you don't get the love you get when you go abroad. I mean, we've discovered that I can go 2 hours up the street to DC, and they will roll out the red carpet for me in DC. But here it's like, you know, that's Jermaine. That's Jermaine I went to school with. I ain't, you know, ain't no JayQuan to me, you know, and that's fine. You know, you get the love where you get the love at. But I think D'Angelo deserves, and I think it started like he won an award and he didn't shout out Richmond or whatever. And I
do remember that. I took
that as more like, you know, look, he was winning an award. You know, he forgot he didn't have time. But you know, I never held. I remember distinctly, his picture was up in the barbershop. The poster from his second album, I think it was called Voodoo or what, I forgot.
Voodoo, right.
The poster was up in the barbershop. The next day after that award show, the next weekend it came in, I remember the barber taking it down and saying, F D'Angelo, he ain't shout us out. And he just never, that dude to me, he put R&B on his back and he brought it back, you know, in the 90s when he did.
Well, Neo Soul is because of him.
And then, you know, Angie Stone was working real heavy with him on that early stuff, you know, of Sequence. Yeah. And, you know, he always represented, I think it was You're My Lady on the video, for You're My Lady, the Westover Dollar Theater. That's where me and Divine used to live, because Divine, he actually lived about 15 minutes from it. And we were bored. We just go to the Westover and just pay our dollar and sit there all day and watch Ghostbusters 3 times. I mean, to see Angelo film a video in front of Westover, I was like, this dude's representing, man. So I love that cat. I don't think he gets the love that he should get here.
He actually made up for that. He was on BET shortly after that. And he said, I want to make it clear, I am from Richmond, Virginia. I just want to make that clear. I'm not from Philadelphia. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. He kind of cleared that up because I think the word got back to him that, you know, people were kind of, you know, they felt real bad about it. People did. I remember it. People felt, you know, they just felt unappreciated. That's the best way to put it. But just like you said, you know, he probably just, you know, now that they're looking back at it, he probably just wasn't thinking. I mean, you know, you want to make sure you don't miss anybody when you're thinking, you know, receiving something like that. You know, even when you do shout outs, you want to make sure you shout everybody out, but you miss somebody all the time. You know, you just do. And
yeah, to me, he's always represented. I mean, the album, the last album that he did, he originally was going to name it James River. And he told a story about going across what they used to call the nickel or the dime bridge. I think that bridge was like 30-something cents, but we still call it the nickel bridge. Boulevard
Bridge, dime bridge, nickel bridge. My mama used to call it the nickel bridge for years.
Yeah, depending on what you call it, will tell you what your age is. I call it the dime bridge, but it's like he said he was gonna name it that because when he was a kid, he used to always have dreams about going across that bridge. And when he said it, I was like, wow, I did too. I've walked across that bridge before going to my grandmother's house. But that was so much a part of our hometown experience. And for him to be as big of an artist as he was, he was going to name his album after that bridge. I mean, you know, if he didn't say the name on the awards show, he definitely made up for it later on, you know, with everything else he did.
Yeah, I want to see more from D'Angelo.
Me too.
And
Our
I
studio
really
was
want
up.
to see more.
Yeah. No, so our studio had said, "Hey, JayQuan, I was just saying what's up."
Oh,
Yeah,
that's my man MFG from over in Belgium and stuff.
Okay.
He's at Belgium Connection. He's at Belgium Connection. One love, brother. Great to see you as always. You know, but yeah, I want to see more from D'Angelo. Somehow, some way, I want to see it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. One love. I want to see more from him. Somehow, some way. I know he's working on something. And I think I saw him on a program not too long ago. I want to say, I think I saw him. I can't remember what it was, but I saw him on something. Can't remember, you know, too much of what it was, but you know, man, this has been great, Jay. It really has been. I don't want to burn you out, man, and stuff. We've been on over an hour, so I appreciate you, man, being here. And I appreciate everything you're doing and stuff. What's new on the horizon for you, man?
Well, right now, man, you know, I'm doing the lecture tour with Melly Mel. You know, it's called the Grandmaster Melly Mel and the birth of socially conscious hip hop. And we've done quite a few colleges already on that. I actually just got back in town last night. I had to fly from LAX out of Los Angeles, go to Charlotte for a layover, and come back here. So I was in the air all day.
I've done it, man. You got jet lag.
I was in the air all day yesterday. Was that?
You got jet lag, don't you?
Yeah, that, and you know, I ain't super tall, but I'm over 6 feet, man. So I said the next time that I have to take a flight like that, I'm going first class. This expensive ticket.
Oh my God! You mean to tell me you did coach all the way?
Oh, I did cut. My legs was. Oh man, I wanted to stretch my legs out so bad. But I was.
I've already said it. I've already said it. When I go back out there, I am not flying coach. I'm gonna do something.
I'm not.
I can't do it.
That was something that I envisioned. You know, I've had that in my head for the longest. I've always, you know, I've always been an MC's MC, man. I like lyrical cats. And, you know, even from back, you know, when we were making records and you would interview me on KIE, you know, I was a Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, you know, Coogee rap type of dude. And I've always felt that Melly Mel was greatly underrated lyrically. And I always felt like people only attached to the message. And I always said that at some point I would like to write college curriculum that talked about his greatness, the same way we see Tupac and others, you know, are in colleges, in the college curriculum. So I started out with that basically. And I just approached him one day and said, look, let's hit some colleges and explain to people, you know, how influential the message was. Beat Street Breakdown, White Lines, New York, World War III. And during that time, I was doing a documentary, as you well know, about the Sugar Hill Band. And, you know, I was interviewing, you know, Duke Booty, rest in peace, Ed Fletcher, who co-wrote the message, the whole band, Doug Wimbish and Keith LeBlanc, and, you know, all of those guys. And I had acquired so much information. I said, we need to share this. So I asked Mel, would it be cool with hitting some colleges? And he said, of course. And we hit Boston last year. We just got back from LA, and people in the UK are very interested. I just had somebody in Louisiana who was interested at a college. So that's the biggest thing I'm doing right now, other than my work with Rock the Bells. The Rock the Bells Festival is coming up this year again. The Rock the Bells Cruise is coming up this year. Rock the Bells is really doing some big things for the 50th. There's some things that I can't speak about, but definitely Rock the Bells be represented for the 50th. Rock the Bells was a sponsor of the, you know, of what you saw at the Grammys the other night. So my position, yeah, I'll be doing some content with them. There's a little reality show that I shot. I'm credited as director on with MC Shan. And the lessons that I do on video, I'll be doing something like that with Rock the Bells. So my Rock the Bells plate is full, but personally, just, you know, going with Mel around to these colleges. And I like to bring some other people in and we break down the origins of the song, what their writing process was. You know, I like to bring in Master G from the Sugar Hill Gang, because, you know, no matter how you feel about the Sugar Hill Gang, you can't get around rappers like 8 Wonder, Apache, and Sugar Hill Groove. You just can't do it. I like to at some point bring in like a Rakim or somebody of that stature. Definitely I've approached Kumo D about doing it, but right now it's me and Mel doing a little tour on that. So yeah, like you said, I've been busy, man. I've been busy, but it's paid off. You know, honestly, COVID was the worst thing that probably happened to us in our lifetime, but having to be in and concentrate on and have the time to think because you're in the house. You know, I wasn't in the house playing video games and, you know, and watching movies. I mean, I was, but most of my stuff was okay. It's going to be over at some point. While I'm sitting here, what can I do? So, you know, I started doing the Zooms, as you know. In fact, I had you on, you know, me and you finally had a chance to sit down and get into your story. And I talked to a lot of people on Zoom. The Fearless Four, my brothers, love the Fearless Four, talked to them. The whole Crash, I had the whole original Crash crew on Zoom. I mean, talked to Mel a few times, talked to Raheem. Quite a few people on Zoom. Too many. Corey Robbins of Profile Records, and just out of that, man. Once the world started opening up a little bit, you know, things started happening. You know, National Hip Hop Museum started to happen. Rock the Bell started to happen. The stuff I want to do with Mel. So it's been I hate to say it's been a great 2 years because COVID has really been, you know, the worst for people. But there were some things during our downtime of COVID that were definitely flipped to positives for me. So, and I'm very grateful for that. And to the people who supported, and you know, when I put out my GoFundMe because I want to, you know, do some film work and do documentary work, that people were very generous with their donations on that. And I would like to thank everybody who did that because I didn't take that money and buy tennis shoes. You know, that money went into, you know, I need a camera, I need some editing software, I need, you know, to travel. So very appreciative of all that.
Can people still continue to donate to you? Can they still do it? Is that GoFundMe still alive?
Much, and I didn't hit my goal, but I came very close to hitting my goal, and I haven't promoted it because, you know, honestly, like I said, I got the money. The main thing I needed was, you know, some cameras and some good tripods and stuff like that. Because you know, look, I stepped in your footsteps with the filmmaking. It's got to the point where I had so many opportunities. I was like, okay, I need to be behind the camera, you know, looking at this from my lens, you know, and then maybe I could interview and be behind the camera. So I'm starting from scratch. I'm learning as I go along. But to answer your question, I stopped promoting it after a while because after I got the money to get the things that I needed, I started working, man. So it's, you know, it's been a busy time, man. But I wouldn't trade it. You know, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
It's just like you said. COVID just messed up everything. I remember we were filming in Connecticut, and we were talking to Wood, Brass, and Steel.
Yep.
And after we took those pictures, we stayed overnight, and then we came home, and we were hearing they getting ready to shut stuff down. And thanks again for you picking my daughter up from Harlem, where her apartment was, because she was supposed to go abroad to study, and they canceled it. And she was supposed to go to Korea, and they canceled it, and they wouldn't let her back in school. So they said she could go virtual. Little did she know once she went virtual that everybody was going to be virtual. We didn't know it was going to be that serious. So we picked her up from Harlem because she couldn't go back to school, and she had already sublet at least her apartment. So she didn't have a place to stay. So we came on down 95, jumped over Harlem River Drive, and jumped over there and picked her up. Brought her home. After that, what happened?
I tell people all the time, man. You know, when we, you know how America is, man. When something is happening in the other parts of the world, we don't really care too much. You know, this is how we are. Like, oh, you know, this happening over there. I'm glad it ain't here. We was hearing about some of the Asian countries, and I distinctly remember we kept hearing on the news. We weren't paying too much attention to it. But you're right. They announced it. We went to get your daughter. We scooped your daughter up, and nobody was wearing masks or anything, and we really weren't worried about too much. A week after we got back from Connecticut, they declared this thing a pandemic, and they started identifying all these things. The mask and stuff came in. We were in Connecticut literally a week before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And I know that there were some people I know who were sick. Because I think we were like, that was February or something, somewhere around there. There were people who were sick.
It was around March. It was around March.
Around March. There was people who were sick back in December, and they have what they thought was the flu, and they couldn't get rid of these flus they had, and it was probably COVID. But the year before that, Sonia, my wife,
she got real sick on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
She was so sick she couldn't even come downstairs with us. She got her gifts and went back upstairs. She was that sick, and we were just like, man, this is a hell of a flu she's got. And the doctors even said, we don't know what this was that you had, because it took her a whole week to get back in the swing of stuff. And I'd be honest, it took the new year for her to be able to function. It was that bad. So we think that she may have had it also.
She probably did. She probably did.
And yeah, man, I just pray that nothing like that ever happens again. It's still here. It's still here.
Oh, it didn't go away. I mean, I had my mask on the plane yesterday. As long as that ride was, there was so many people on that plane coughing. If you got a cough, you got a cough. But a cough is seen different today than it was 3 years ago. It was people coughing and sneezing, and I had my mask on the whole. As uncomfortable as it was to have it on for the whole flight, because I was flying all day yesterday. I had to do it because, like you said, it's still out there, and that might be one of the worst things you can get right now. But all the colds and everything else you can get from people coughing all in your face. People who, especially people from some of the Asian countries who always wore masks, they were ahead of the curve, man. I'll continue to wear mine long after they tell us everything's okay.
Yeah, I'm still wearing mine. Last night, we went into a restaurant, went to a Jersey Mike's, really. And man, there's a story about that too. But we went in there and we were the only ones that walked in. We had masks on. Everybody else just eating, laughing, having fun. I'm like, okay, but we're going to continue to wear that. Now, the reason I said that, just a little funny thing about that. I like my turkey subs, right?
Sure.
Man, good gosh, Jay. The roof of my mouth still hurt.
But the bread was hard.
And that bread was a baguette. That wasn't no doggone sub roll. That thing was hard as a brick. Man, I mean, it's like I had to go to the side of my mouth and eat the sub.
Oh, wow.
Bad. And so I didn't get my Jersey Mike fixed last night. So I just ate half of it. And matter of fact, my son just pulled out to go back on the road. I said, man, look, you want a sub? So I gave him half of it. I told him, I said, man, eat it from the side. He said, what you talking about, Pop? I said, man, the bread hard as a brick. And then he tapped it with his finger. He said, man, it is. He said, well, I'm just pull the top off it. So I gave him that. But I actually, when I came back from filming today, I had, I film once a month and whatnot. And I was coming back and I had to have a Jersey Mike's fix. So I went and got me another sub. Much better.
Jersey Mike's is good. I like the turkey sub too. I like to get it and I don't like to eat it right away. I like to let it sit for a little while.
Oh, so you and Sonya like that stuff. That I call that fermenting. And when it's got mayonnaise on it, I'm gonna eat it cold. I don't want it to ferment. No God. She will let a sub sit out. And I'm like, it's gonna make you sick. I just, when it's mayonnaise on it, I can't let it sit.
You said ferment. That's funny.
Ferment. Yeah, I call it ferment.
I call it marinating, but yeah.
That's ferment. It ain't no marinating, Jay. That's ferment. That's fermentation. That's what it is, man. It make you sick, man. If you don't eat that stuff while it's cold, But funny. Anyway, so I got one on the way back today, and I like I said, I got the other half in there now and stuff. But listen, Jay, man, again, man, thanks so much, man, for doing this and taking time out of your busy schedule.
Oh yeah, Blimpies was good too. Jazzy G saying I like Blimpies. Blimpies is good too.
Oh, Blimpies,
mayo and vinegar, gotta have it. Salt and pepper.
They know. See, Jay, I started eating subs from Blimpies in Manhattan back in the day when I was at First Priority. And me and Giz and Lauren, it is the girl from a different world, Dawn Lewis, her brother, used to work with us at First Priority. And I had lunch with him and Giz. We were in Manhattan in the village. And we were at a Blimpies. My first time at Blimpies. And I had a sandwich sub just like that with oil and vinegar and mayonnaise, onions, banana peppers, pickles, turkey and cheese.
That's it.
And I've been hooked ever since. So Dove, right. You're absolutely right. Mayo and vinegar. You're right. But you can't let it sit, Jay. You got to
I'll let it sit in the summer heat all day, but I I can't eat it when they first make it because it's just the flavor ain't there. Once you let it, as you say, ferment. I don't really like that word, but once you let it ferment a little bit,
I won't say it to you no more, bro. I won't say it no more.
Yeah, man, the flavor set in. I think what was good was when we were Cash Money and Davey D. And Cash Money took us to we're in Philly. He took us to get the real
Gems. He took us to Gems. Yes, that was good. That was good. That was good. Yes, that was good.
We start talking. I already got this. Gut, man. We start talking about food.
Man, I got to get rid of mine. Yo, Jazzy G, you know Chin? Oh, snap. He knows my man Chin. They used to hang with us at First Priority. I just saw Chin last year. Or was it last year? It may be year before. It was year before last. When my daughter moved to Brooklyn, she used to live on Flatbush. And they, all the First Priority crew, met up with me. A lot of the First Priority crew, not all of them, because just a few could. But they all met up at a restaurant in Williamsburg. We met up. Big Cat, Maisha, and Chin came from Long Island over there to see me, and that meant a lot to me. And Chin is always gonna be my man. 50 grand. Yes, man. I didn't know you knew Chin, man. That was my man, no doubt about it.
Speaking of First Priority, I got to hit up your man Terry Moyer. Because I reached out to him, we played phone tag, and I got to get back with him because I was doing a piece about First Priority. I had to talk to you when I do it too. But for Rod the Bells, we do 101 hip hop 101 classic labels. I've written about fresh records, Sleeper Bag, different old school label profile, Def Jam. But I want to do something on First Priority, but I want to get some good quotes and some good background. So of course, a no-brainer. I'll reach out to you, but I reached out to Terry Moyer. He definitely was delighted to do it. We were playing phone tag. I know that's one of your friends over here. So
yes. So Terry, if you're watching, get with him. Nat Robinson as well. I mean, Nat would be. I've told Nat about you, so you could reach out to him.
You can hook that up. That would be even.
Yeah, I'll call him. I'll call him and talk to him. And Nat, if you're watching Nat, he's please reach out to Jay or reach out to me, and I'll give you all the contact information. But I'll reach out to him just in case he hasn't seen this.
Yeah.
Well. Yes, Jazzy G. Yes, Ishka Bibbles in Philly is good too. Ishka Bibbles, I've had them too. Yeah, I've had them too. But Cash was like, Jim's is like the place because all the other ones is because of the height. He said, but Jim's is the one. That's why he took us there. And it was matter of fact, I brought a whole sub back for Sonya, and it was fermented like she liked it, she loved it, and stuff. But see, the authentic way you do the Philly cheesesteaks, if I'm not mistaken, is with cheese whiz and ketchup.
Yeah.
You don't see. I like my subs if I was eating red meat again, and I used to eat steak and cheese. See, steak and cheese what blew me up back in the day, back in the WKIE days. Every day we go to work before we hit the doggone station. Fresh would always say, "Man, let's go to Subway. Let's go to Long John's." Man, we wore them out, and the next thing you know, here I am.
That'll do it. I used to be a Mr. Submarine all the time, getting Heroes. I always say gyro, but the preferred was hero. Heroes and those steak and cheese.
Oh yeah, God, the gyros, man. I learned about gyros from Milk in New York. I found that's why I thought because Milk said you ever had a gyro? I said, a what? He said, come on, man, a gyro. I said, So he took me and I looked at it at first, and I looked at him. He said, try it, go ahead. He said, come on, man, try it. I'm like, all right. I ate it. I'm like, yo. And that was it. I was done. So I tell you,
anytime I visit another state, I always try out their gyros. And I'll say, I don't know. I haven't had anybody top Mr. Submarine here in Richmond yet. I had something that came close, but that's my spot. But
the spot here, like Mr. Submarine has been good for years. But the spot now?
What's that?
Is Sub Central on Midlothian across from Channel 12.
Well, that's owned by the original family. There was an argument with the family, and they split up. So Sub Central is the original. The one on Broad is still good. It's the same recipe, but Yeah, Sub Central. That used to be a Mr. Sub. In fact,
Right, I remember. I remember.
Retro thing. Behind that was Memco back in the
Right.
day. You
I
remember
remember
Memco?
that. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Behind that was Memco, but yeah, that was Mr. Submarine, and the family had a little squabble, and they call that one Sub Central. And of course, you still got the one on Jeff Davis. I haven't been on Jeff Davis in a long time, but the one on Broad Street, that's still and it used to be on one on Hall Street up the street from me. That one closed down, but yeah, them subs will blow you up, man.
Man, when I was working over there, before I'm in the position I got now at work, I used to go over there every now and then for lunch and grab me a gyro. You know, I couldn't eat them every day. I was careful not to eat them every day. But say every payday, I would eat one. You know, that's like every 2.5 weeks or something like that. I would grab one. And or if I was leaving work early for the day, I'd get two to bring one home and for Sonya, and then I would have mine. But yeah, man. Matter of fact, the dude that runs that Sub Central looks just like George Fable. He looks just like George Fable.
Wow.
He looks exactly like him. I showed him a picture of him. I said, man, you sure you're not related to this brother right here? He said, wow. He said, no, I'm not, but gosh, I do look like him. You know, I'm telling you, you go in there, you see him, you be like, they go popping Fable right there. That's him.
That's funny.
He looks exactly like him, man.
He really does. The original Mr. Submarine was over in Carytown.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Where Standard Drug used to be.
I remember that. Yep. God, Standard Drug. Great day, man.
Well, it's CVS now.
Yeah, and over there it's changed so much. They've rebuilt stuff over there and all that. Big Rick said we making him hungry.
Well, you know, I got a sweet potato in the oven now that I need to that's probably dry at this point. I probably got to put another one in there. But this has been good, man. I love doing this. And you know, whenever you need to reach out to me, you know, I might not answer on the first ring, but you know, I'm gonna come on here. The chicken one is good too. You know, I'm gonna come on here and we're gonna do it, man.
Yeah, man. I know how it is with your schedule now and stuff. You know, it's an adjustment and stuff because you know you get a call and at the drop of a dime, you got to go. You know, and I understand that, and I know you're loving it, and we're proud of you, man. You know, you represent Richmond well, man. You know, in Central Virginia well with what you're doing, man. And I thank you for doing this, man, because you know the 50th year of hip hop is so important, and I think it's being represented well with what you do and everybody else that's in charge of these big places that's doing things, and that's why we want to do our part. Z-Rock Crew, Junior Funk Machine, Sir RJ, Cricket, all of us, we want to do our part as well with it and stuff to help promote it and stuff because it's so much a part of our lives, man. It really is. Sure. It really is. But thank you, Jay. I appreciate it. And thank y'all for checking us out. We appreciate it so much. And no problem. And we'll do it again, man. We'll do it again maybe in a few weeks or something like that. And, you know, we'll go over a couple of things or whatever. And plus, you and I need to speak on some other things offline that we talked about and stuff.
I'll be around, bro. I'll be around.
Yeah, so we'll do that. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, always, bro.
All right, my man. Thank y'all again, man, for being here. We appreciate you so much for Bravador Live. This was a great one. I thank everybody for your comments, everybody for checking this out. Please continue to share this if you will. I appreciate it. I really, really do appreciate it. Just share it. The history that we've kicked this evening has been good, and I appreciate it. Though, peace and blessings, brother. And Jazzy G, yes, I will, man. I will. I'll reach out to you through Facebook, and then I'll give you all my contact information. Thank you so much for what you shared this evening, Jazzy G. Thank you to Venus Mazel, Big Rick, my man MFG over in Belgium. Let's see. I'm going to make sure everybody I see here. I saw on the other page, I saw Freedom, my man Freedom. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you for showing it, for sharing stuff. Let's see. I just want to just shout out a few more people. Cricket, of course. Thank you, man. As always. I appreciate it. I said Big Rick. Yeah, so and Malik X, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you all. I really, really do appreciate it. We'll do this again, and maybe the next Bravador Live, I'll have another guest. I will make sure now that we're back in the swing of doing Bravador Live, normally we'll be doing them on Fridays, everybody. On Fridays, we'll be doing Bravador Live. So with that said, on the next Bravador Live, we will try to have a guest every Bravador Live. So keep in mind, we'll do that. And those of you out there in the business that know someone that has been in this business for years and that contributed to 50 years of hip hop, send me an inbox. Let me know who they are. I'll have them contact me. I'd love to have them on the show. I definitely would. Thank y'all so much for your support. Thank y'all so much for being there over the years, supporting the Z-Rock crew, Junior Funk Machine, Sir RJ, DJ MC Fresh, Cricket. I can just go on and on. El Bravador Filmworks. Thank you, WQ Mix Worldwide Radio, that you hear in the background right here. You know, hey, please continue to spread the words. If you don't know anything about it, check it out.
The internet keeps you interconnected, and so does the great music. The great music. WQ Mix Worldwide. Old school radio. New school attitude.
Yes, y'all. Listen, check the station out, spread the word, and let them all know about WQ Mix Worldwide Radio. I'm talking about 80s dance classics, classic hip-hop, soul classics, R&B classics, some jazz classics, some classic MTV favorites, you name it. It's right here on this station. It's free 24/7. That's WQMIX Worldwide Radio. Check it out on Facebook. We've got the WQ Mix Worldwide Radio Listeners Group page. You've got the WQ Mix page. You also have the Bravador Live group page. Join all of that, okay? Like and follow El Bravador. Like and follow the Z-Rock crew. Like and follow Soul Image Film Festival network page. Like and follow everything that I'm involved with, that we're all involved with. Please follow. And it's 50 years of hip hop, everybody. And I will be letting you all know as soon as we set a date in March to come out and join the Z-Rock crew and the Junior Funk Machine and Cricket and Sir RJ, so we could go ahead and get down and have a good time. All right. Peace and blessings, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And tomorrow's the Super Bowl. Please celebrate responsibly. Me, I said it earlier, I'm going to go for the Eagles. Yeah, I'll go for the Eagles this time, okay? Anybody wants to reach out to me and say anything, hey, send me an inbox, all right? I got to roll. Thank y'all. Peace and blessings. One love.